blessing it is to be together. And being together anyway is a blessing. But being together on the banks of Ganga and in this sacred garden and for satsang is such a triple, quadruple blessing. So, welcome. And as usual, we'll start with a question that comes in from our family joining us online through different online channels, and then we'll open it up to any questions that anyone here might have. If you could change one thing in the world, what would it be? The magic wand. I think if I could change one thing, it would be to have that magic wand that would enable all of us to actually see the truth, the fullness, the divinity, the perfection of ourselves. Because I think that's as close of a one solution to all of that which ails us on any level as you possibly could get. Because if we all knew that at the core, the highest truth, the deepest truth of ourselves is that fullness, that wholeness, that perfection of divinity, then what it means is we wouldn't spend our lives competing. There wouldn't be jealousy. There wouldn't be pushing each other away. There wouldn't be competition. There wouldn't be cheating then, lying, stealing, all of that we do. Because on some level I believe that what I have, what I'm getting, who I am isn't enough. And therefore I need to beat you, push you out of the way, grab from here, grab from there, show you who's boss. All of that which we need to do is because I need something from outside in order to make me feel whole and full on the inside. And if I didn't need that, then we wouldn't be harming each other. We wouldn't be suppressing and oppressing each other, cheating each other. We also, of course, would be deeply happy and peaceful. And therefore, what we would share in the world is happiness and peace. Right? I mean, I always say we can only give what we have. If someone's hurting you and making you miserable, it's not about you. There's no reason to take it personally. It's about them. What they've got is misery. That's why it's what they're sharing. We can only share with the world what we have. So if I'm miserable, I'm going to share misery. If I'm aware of my fullness, aware of my wholeness, aware of my oneness with the divine, well, that's what I'm going to share. It's why we flock to gurus. It's why we flock to the masters, because it's not just to get a specific blessing or learn a specific thing. It's because being in their presence feels different. What they're sharing is different. They're sharing that light, they're sharing that love, they're sharing that peace. So if we all could have that awareness, then we all would be able to share that. And lastly, I would change that, because not only would it make us happier, more peaceful, nicer to each other, but it would also make us much better assets on planet Earth. That which is killing our planet is this greed, this illusion, this yearning over power, this idea that we are separate, that we're separate from Mother Nature, that we're separate from the trees, separate from our sisters and brothers who live in the forest, that we're separate from future generations. And what's leading us to harm the planet, along with that, is this pervasive sense of misery within ourselves. So for example, if I'm miserable, I'm depressed, I'm anxious, I'm bored, I'm frustrated, what do? We eat, right? The vast majority of us, I would imagine almost all of us, have had some experience, perhaps even today, if not, then most certainly this week, in which we have eaten due to some reason other than physical hunger. Right? We're bored, we're depressed, we're frustrated, we're lonely. So we eat. But when we eat for emotional reasons, what we eat tends to be things that not only are bad for us, but that are bad for the planet. So it's processed junk food, right? That are, made with palm oil, that's cutting down the trees in the forest that the orangutans and so many other species need to live, and causing this ripple impact of destruction of tropical forests. Or we're eating hamburgers, destroying our Amazon, destroying our rainforests. Or we're shopping. So we've got eating therapy, we've got shopping therapy, in which just because I'm depressed, sad, miserable, lonely, bored, well, let me go buy things. Right? It used to be shopping centers, maybe now it's just Amazon, but that sense that if I buy things, I will feel happier. I'll feel fuller. And of course, all of that consumption is also having these ripple impacts around the world, because of course when we want to buy as therapy, well, we want as much as we can get for as cheap as possible. And when we live like that and shop like that, more, cheaper, what we're buying are things produced by companies or in factories that are cutting corners, that are polluting the soil, that are polluting the water, polluting the air, that have got women and children working in sweatshops. And so if we actually knew that we were full, we wouldn't be having eating therapy, shopping therapy, drinking therapy, right? People are miserable, they go out and get drunk. Bad for them. Then in so many cases they come home and beat the people in their family, spouses, children. And you think all that alcohol that's being produced, all the grain that is going into producing alcohol so I can get drunk and forget how miserable I am, we actually took that grain and we used it to feed people rather than drown my sorrows, what an amazing dent in world hunger we could create. And so simply by having people know, experientially, not just in their intellect, not just because you read it in a book or saw it on a billboard or heard somebody say it, but really know that each of us is a divine being. That regardless of the particular moment, of the particular drama, of your particular role in this scene of God's Leela, the divine drama, regardless of that, who you are at the core is whole, full, complete, divine. I can't think of a problem on earth that wouldn't solve. So if I had a magic wand, that's what I would use it for. Are there any questions that anyone here has? Diego? Yes, sweetie.
Namaste, Sadhviji.
Stay.
So, according to the Hindu tradition, was the sacred always within us, or in the past the sacred was only the gods?
Beautiful. So in our Hindu tradition, in Sanatana Dharma, was God always within us, or was God sometimes at some point in the past only outside? God has always been taught that God is within us. If you go back to the scriptures, there's so many different teachings in the different scriptures. From the Vedas to the Upanishads to the Bhagavad Gita. I mean, there's so many different teachings that God is within you. One of my favorites that I quote so frequently is the teaching from the Upanishads that says, Isha vasyamidam sarvam, Isha vasyamidam sarvam, yat kincha jagatyam jagat. And it means everything in the universe, everything is pervaded by the divine. There is nothing, no one, nowhere that is not pervaded by the divine. So yeah, this goes all the way back to the scriptures. In fact, one of the core teachings of Sanatana Dharma, which is so hard to codify because unlike all of the other major religions in the world, Hinduism basically says however you worship is fine. Whatever name you use, whatever form you use, Murti Puja, no Murti Puja, God with a name, God with no name, God in form, God with no form. It's all great. So when you've got a tradition that really is so open, it's hard to figure out, what are the core teachings? And if you asked 10 Hindus what are the core teachings, you'd get 10 different answers. But for me, coming from a Jewish background, but in a Judeo-Christian culture of America, one of the real core teachings that impacted me so deeply is this idea that the core of who you are is divine. That we've been created not just by the Creator, but of the Creator. So in the Judeo-Christian tradition, where we talk about God created all of the earth and the creation, in the Hindu tradition, yes, of course, there is a creation, but it is an unfolding of creation from the divine. So it's not a matter of like an artist sitting in the sky somewhere, sitting in heaven, sort of creating out of raw material pieces of art. It's a creation that unfolds from the divine itself. And so that idea that we are created not just by the Creator, but of the Creator. And that all of the suffering is due to the fact that we forget that and we identify with the body is one of the really core basic teachings of the tradition. Yeah, beautiful. Any other questions? Yes. But you have to stand up, sweetheart. Actually, you want to come here, Idra. Mic Lila, mic Lila. You can turn this way so everybody can see you. How about that? There you go. You want to come a little closer? Idra, come here. Okay, okay, good. Now,
If you are in the Ganga River also, how you can be here also?
start the question again about the Ganga River.
If you are in Ganga River, how you can be in here also?
If you're in Ganga River, how you can be in?
Here also.
Here. Two places at the same time, you mean?
Yes.
Ah. Well, that's such a sweet question. Okay. So, can you close your eyes for me for a moment? Okay. Can you see your bed? Keep your eyes closed. Can you see your bedroom?
Yes.
Can you see your bed?
Yes.
Can you sit on your bed in your mind?
Yes.
Do you have stuffed animals on your bed?
Yes.
Okay. Can you take one of them in your arms? In your mind?
Yes.
Okay, what does it feel like?
It is feeling like hot.
Is it soft?
Yes.
Yeah, how soft?
Normal soft.
Very soft. Okay. Now, but you're here,
Yes.
right? Are you here or are you there?
Here.
Here. Okay. But it feels, when you think about your bedroom and your bed and your stuffed animal like that, it feels like you are there also, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, at the moment, my body is right here next to you, which I think is a pretty nice place to be. But because I love Ganga so much, there's always a part of my mind and my heart that is in Ganga River, kind of like you're hugging your stuffed animal. Even though right here the stuffed animal isn't in your arms, but you can feel it, right? So in the same way, I can feel being in Ganga River, even though I'm sitting here right next to you. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
100%?
100%.
Okay. Do you have any other questions?
No.
Okay. Should we see if anybody else has a question? I'm going to just turn that off. Thank you. Any? Yes, give her a... Beautiful. Are there any other questions? मैं उसमें end कर लेती हूँ. We'll just take this as the last question, then I will talk about that. Yes. Stay. फिर मैं आपके पास आती हूँ.
My Reverence, I would like to know if you agree with if it's possible to have a personal relationship with Krishna or with some, like a personal, very personal.
Is it possible to have a personal relationship with Krishna? Absolutely. Absolutely it is. And in fact, that's another one of the really core elements of Hinduism or Sanatan Dharma that I love so much, is that idea that you can have a personal relationship with God. Whether you worship Krishna, you worship Ram, you worship Hanumanji, you worship the Mother Goddess, that idea that you can have a personal relationship. Absolutely. In fact, Krishna tells us in the Bhagavad Gita, in whatever form the devotee worships me, I appear to the devotee in that form. It's just up to us. It's up to us to develop that relationship, and that's also why, even just one divine manifestation like Krishna, well, there's so many different forms. So there's some people who love to worship Krishna as the supreme Godhead, the absolute supreme reality. And then there's those who love to worship Krishna the way Radha worshipped Krishna. In that way of just pure devotional, person-to-person love. And then there's people who love Krishna like a mother loves a child, and who actually carry around with them. You'll see this a lot in India. People will carry around a small image of Krishna in a little basket, and they'll feed Krishna. And they worship Krishna as a child, like their child. And there's people who worship Krishna as their friend, like he was to Arjuna. And again, what we're taught in the Bhagavad Gita, but also in so many other ways, however we want to connect with God, God is there. And it's such a beautiful experience, because otherwise, no matter how many friends we have, no matter how big our social circle may be, there's an almost inherent loneliness. And we may be able to distract ourselves so it becomes a kind of low-grade loneliness that we're not always aware of. But the moment you become really quiet, you feel like, isn't there something else? And it's because until we are connected to God in whatever that means for you, there's no way that any of the other relationships can possibly fill you to that fullest capacity. Each of them can play beautiful, wonderful roles. But it's that relationship with God that ultimately fulfills every role. So yeah, absolutely you can. And there's not a right way to do it. Allow it to happen. It's not something you can force. Just allow it to happen. Pray to Krishna for that experience of Krishna's presence in your life. And that doesn't mean it's going to be in the form of a blue-toned male being with a flute. Krishna could come to you in the form of the tree in your backyard, in the form of a human in your life, with whom you are able to actually see Krishna through that being. in your love and devotion to that being to experience the presence of Krishna. There's so many ways that we can experience the divine. So don't limit yourself to waiting for when am I going to have my moment with God who looks like this. Just keep yourself open, keep your heart open to the presence of God. It could be in the form of an animal who enters your life in some way, a person who enters your life in some way, a tree who enters your life, an ocean that enters your life. It could even be in a formless way, because of course Krishna also is that formless supreme reality. So just allow yourself to be open to that experience. And just reach out your heart to God in every moment as much as you can. Beautiful. और lastly बस आपके लिए अपनी हिंदी के बारे में पूछा. He asked how I speak Hindi. So I'll give him an answer in Hindi for a moment. For those of you who don't speak Hindi, I'll give it to you in English. But मैं बच्चों से सीखा. कोई पुस्तक से नहीं सीखा, ना कोई क्लास से सीखा. जब मैं अमेरिका से आई 25 वर्ष पूर्व, तो शुरू में कोई आवश्यकता नहीं थी. सभी थोड़ा सा अंग्रेजी बोलते हैं. लेकिन जैसे मेरे को ये अनुभव हुआ कि यही मेरा गाइड है, मुझे यहाँ रहना है, then I realized कि मुझे सीखना चाहिए. और उसी समय there was no Google, ऐसे नहीं था कि मैं ऑनलाइन जाओ, ऑनलाइन हिंदी सीख लूँ. बच्चों से सीखा. बच्चों के साथ काफ़ी समय स्पेंड किया, बोलते उन लोगों से सीखा. और लोगों के साथ बोलते सीख गए. मूल बात ये थी कि मेरे को शर्म नहीं आती थी, संकोच नहीं होते थे. Just from the beginning I started speaking. दिक्कत क्या होते लोगों को for anything is we feel embarrassed. लोग हंसेंगे. I'm going to make mistakes. क्या सोचेंगे मेरे बारे में. और लोग हंसते थे, खूब हंसते थे. मुझे याद है हम लोग कैलाश मानसरोवर की यात्रा पे थे 1998 में. तो मैं 96 में आई. तो पूज्य स्वामी जी के साथ पूज्य रमेश भाई ओझा जी, पूज्य स्वामी गुरु शरणानंद जी महाराज, और so many saints. और एक शाम को मैं पूज्य बाईशी जी की टेंट में गए, के साथ काफ़ी लोग बैठ रहे थे. और someone was sitting at the top of his bed. उनको थोड़ा सा जैसे acupressure है, उनको acupressure दे रहे थे. तो मुझे लगा शायद उनको सिर दर्द हो रहा है कुछ. और मेरे पास खूब सारे दवाई थे. I had brought so much medicine. तो अमेरिका से हूँ, I'm like a walking pharmacy. So मैंने उनसे पूछा, क्या आपके पास दर्द है? तो वो मेरे को कहा हंसते हंसते कि हाँ, मेरे ख्याल में कि शायद बिस्तर के नीचे थोड़ा सा है, तुम देख लो. इतना कंफ्यूजन हो गया मुझको कि what is it? Finally somebody explained to me, नहीं, आपके पास दर्द नहीं है. क्या आपको दर्द हो रहा है? But I had translated in my mind, do you have pain? क्या आपके पास दर्द है? तो वो मेरा मजाक कर रहे थे. I think maybe under the bed you'll find a little bit, ढूंढ लो. और सभी हंस रहे थे और मेरा कोई आइडिया नहीं था कि मैंने क्या बोला. Like that, there were hundreds of examples. But I just kept speaking because I realized in order to really understand a culture, you have to speak the language. तो धीरे 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 अभी भी बहुत बाकी है, लेकिन धीरे 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 सीख रही हूँ. हाँ.
मैं पहले मराठी पढ़ा हूँ, लेकिन अभी प्रवचन देता हूँ तो मुझे हिंदी बोलना पड़ता है. तो हिंदी बोलने में मेरी भी बहुत सारी गलतियाँ होती हैं.
तो कोई बात नहीं.
मैं आपके पास सीखने आया.
All I can say in English is the only key to learning anything is to just put your ego to the side. If we're worried about making mistakes, if we're worried about what people are going to say, if we're worried about looking like a fool, we'll never learn anything. The only way to learn, whether it's a language or anything else, is to just put that ego aside and allow yourself to keep trying, keep trying, keep trying.
लेकिन आप हिंदी बोलती हैं ना तो सुनने में बहुत अच्छा लगता है.
Oh.
हम बोलते हैं तो इतना अच्छा नहीं लगता है. ये क्या बात है?
अच्छा लगता होगा. देखो
जो है वो एक अलग ढंग से आता है. तो हमें बहुत सुनने में अच्छा लगता है.
ये माँ गंगा जी और पूज्य स्वामी जी की कृपा है.
Real fact.
Thank you, thank you. Before we end for tonight, मैंने पता लगाया that we have a very, very special birthday to celebrate. Our beloved sister of Parmarth, Ila Panjwani, it is her beautiful birthday today. And so in our satsang tradition, we're going to sing happy birthday to her. But what makes our satsang tradition a little special is we're going to sing it in as many languages as we have people here who speak those different languages. So if you speak a language other than English, we'll begin with English, but if you speak any language, be ready to sing happy birthday for us in that language. So first we'll all join together in English, and then we'll come to all of our other languages. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Ela. Happy birthday to you. That was Portuguese. That was Portuguese. Okay, what else do we have? Dutch. आपको माइक देना.
Lang zal je leven, lang zal je leven, lang zal je leven in the gloria, in the gloria, in the gloria. Hippity pip, hurrah! Hippity pip, hurrah! Hippity hip hip, hurrah!
Great. Any other languages? Yes, in the back.
Tavallod, tavallod, tavallodet mubarak. Tavallod, tavallod, tavallodet mubarak. بیا شمعاتو فوت کن 300 سال زنده باشی.
That was great. What language was that?
That's Persian, Farsi.
Parsi. Beautiful. Thank you. आपके पीछे, सूरज आपके पीछे.
संस्कृत. जन्मदिनमिदम् ऐ प्रिय सखे सन्तनोतु ते सर्वदा मुदम् प्रार्थयामहे भवशतायुषी ईश्वर सदा त्वाञ्च रक्षतु पुण्यकर्मणा कीर्तिमर्जय जीवनं तव भवतु सार्थकं भवतु सार्थकं
भवतु सार्थकम्.
Beautiful. Other languages? Yes, in the back. और फिर सूरज अपने विश्व कुमारों को बोल दो, हमारे संस्कृत वाले वर्जन भी गाएंगे.
হাই এভরিওয়ান, বেঙ্গলি। শুভ জন্মদিন, দিনটা যেন খুব ভালো যায় আর অনেক মনস্কামনা পূর্ণ হয় আর অনেক অনেক শুভেচ্ছা। আর আই উড লাইক টু সিং 2 lines জাস্ট টু কনভে মাই উইশেস।
Okay.
Very famous Bengali Rabindra Sangeet by the famous Rabindranath Tagore.
Okay.
আমারও পরানো যাহা চাই তুমি তাই গো, আমারও পরানো যাহা চাই তুমি ছাড়া এ জগতে আর কেউ নয়, কেউ নাই রে, আমারও পরানো যাহা চাই। থ্যাংক ইউ এভরিওয়ান।
Any other languages? Yes. Aha. Can you stand up? Thank you. जोर से गाओ.
जन्म दिवस का बहुत बहुत शुभकामना, जन्म दिवस का बहुत बहुत शुभकामना, जन्म दिवस का बहुत बहुत शुभकामना।
अब लास्टली अपने विश्व कुमारों का हमारे संस्कृत वर्जन.
सुदिनं सुदिनं जन्मदिनं तव भवतु मङ्गलं जन्मदिनं सुदिनं सुदिनं जन्मदिनं तव भवतु मङ्गलं विजयी भव सर्वत्र सर्वदा, विजयी भव सर्वत्र सर्वदा, भवतु मङ्गलं जन्मदिनं तव सुदिनं सुदिनं जन्मदिनं तव भवतु मङ्गलं जन्मदिनं तव भवतु मङ्गलं जन्मदिनं तव भवतु मङ्गलं जन्मदिनं तव.
Beautiful. Wonderful. Have a beautiful rest of your evening, everyone. A beautiful morning and day to our family joining us online from all over the world. Look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. If we didn't get to your question tonight, we will take it tomorrow. And so much love to you all.